Hi, my name is Daniel Baumann and I am an expert in the ecological approach on human development by Urie Bronfenbrenner. I'm here to present to you a case study involving a personal account of violence in America and the history of it. The first aspect of my case study will be examining in detail the ecological systems of an individual growing up in the city during the 1960s. The individual, in this case, is Geoffrey Canada, our author, who is 4 years old. This is a personal account of his childhood upbringing in the South Bronx, New York in the 1960s. His microsystem, which I have displayed to you in orange here, consists of his mother, his 3 brothers, and other friends from the block. His exosystem, which I've displayed in green, represents his dad being an alcoholic and a deadbeat who he rarely sees on weekends, neighbors and individuals on the block. The macrosystem, which represents the society and community and the ideologies and cultures of it that surrounds the individual, Geoffrey, is the Bronx, New York, an inner city community with violence, with no jobs, and no money. The chronosystem, which represents the change of the individual and the overall perspectives of that, is the living situation change. Geoffrey Canada's primary setting goes from being the playground in the neighborhood to the slums and ghetto and the sidewalk, where he learns codes of conduct within his peers over fighting and running through the ranking system of that. The mesosystem, which is displayed in yellow, represents the overall connection that the individual is making within his microsystems. Geoffrey, through all the fighting that's going on the sidewalks, learns to fight back and stand up for himself, to not talk or analyze an incident, and to keep living. The author uses an analogy of a ping pong table in regards to being a slave to your emotions, and that if you never get over your emotions, you can never continue within development. The next part of my case study, I will conduct a comparative analysis to Geoffrey Canada's upbringing in the 1960s in the South Bronx to his new job as an academic after-school counselor in East Harlem and Upper Manhattan during 1983. To switch gears a little bit, there's been 50,000 victims of gun violence from 1979 to 1991. The microsystems of the individuals growing up in Upper Manhattan and East Harlem has changed from drug dealers replacing poor kids, and the macro system, which was a poor society, which was filled with a lot of physical violence, has changed to a lot of gun violence, and there being from no jobs to now drug dealers, and the only jobs are illegal and corrupt. Dealers started to seek out children as a result due to this less sentence and less degree of punishment if they got caught. What this led to is children getting handguns for protection. Geoffrey Canada works as a Taekwondo teacher and began work as an after-school program. He is responsible for 200 Harlem and Upper Manhattan adolescents. He makes a connection between modern reality and the Wild West, saying the inner city is a lot more wild than the Wild West, and that in the Wild West you draw versus in the inner city you just shoot. A solution to the problem. In 1990, Joe Stewart, Sean Drove, and Geoffrey Canada founded the County Cullen Community Center. They founded this in Harlem, and in 1991 there began a crime prevention plan, where the mayor of New York started investing money in children instead of police to stop violence. Beacon Schools was the solution of the crime prevention plan, a community developmental strategy. This combines comprehensive services with youth activities. You can't save children without saving their families, and you can't save families without saving their communities. This is the exact principles of the ecological approach that Geoffrey Canada then uses now as a counselor who is trying to help the youth and the next generation of inner city New York. He begins by fixing problems within the individual's microsystem, then fixing problems within that individual's exosystem and macrosystem to overall change the system overall into a positive form of developmental strategy. They centralize a child's environment within this strategy. They include all developmental systems as a part of a neighborhood watch program. There is a consistent value system, similar to the codes of conduct that Jeffrey learned on the sidewalks. Schools, peers, families, and services are all concordant with one another. There's a change in the macro system, the overall effect. Billboards and media around the area is replaced. What used to be alcohol and tobacco advertisements are now, there's a huge media influences, and they change from negative to Martin Luther King as a face encouraging college on kids. The blocks are cleaned up, trees are planted, and new hopes and opportunities are within all in the good, poor neighborhood. As a final insight and conclusion, I'm going to talk about the chrono system and the significance of the title of the book. Fist, stick, knife, and gun is a part of constant changes. How we need to adapt to these constant changes is by investing in our children, by shaping the next generation. Thank you for listening to this.